For more on what's at stake in these meetings, let's go to international political analyst Eugene Chausovsky. Eugene, there's always a lot of interest in these talks on the sidelines. We see State Councilor and Foreign Minister Wang Yi very busy meeting with Lavrov and others. Give us a sense of your takeaways on these meetings.
Well, at this point, this is just an opportunity for some diplomacy to take place that hasn't really existed in the past few months since the Ukraine conflict started. Now, we know that the U.S. and Russian representatives haven't and will likely not be meeting directly, but this is perhaps an opportunity to pass along some messages, whether that's through countries like China or even Turkey, to see if they can at least settle some of the more immediate and tactical issues of the conflict, if not a broader diplomatic resolution.
And of course, one of these meetings of great interest will be on the sidelines between Wang Yi and his U.S. counterpart, Tony Blinken. What can we expect from this dialogue? Can it help in any way to thaw these rather frosty relations between these two world's largest economies?
Well, we know that the U.S. immediate attention has been on Russia and the Ukraine conflict, but there are certainly things that are important for the U.S. and China to talk about, both in terms of offsetting some of the economic repercussions and dislocations that we've seen, whether that's in energy and food, and to try to kind of manage their own tensions over the U.S.-China bilateral relationship. So I think in that sense, this is an important opportunity.
And a lot on the agenda. There's a lot to talk about. Many global issues right now to address. Food insecurity and energy volatility, of course, coming in the wake of the crisis in Ukraine. Can we expect any headway? What do you expect in terms of that? And then also, how do you deal with the sticky issue of Ukraine? We know Sergei Lavrov's there. As you mentioned, Tony Blinken has no intentions of meeting with him. How frosty does that make all of this?
Certainly frosty from the standpoint that there won't be that direct level of communication, but that doesn't preclude some level of discussions on the more pragmatic issues. We've seen some reported progress in Turkish-mediated talks on the grain issue, perhaps some other elements that can be in play. So in that sense, this will be an important meeting for things like that. But the Ukraine conflict looms large, and I think that's going to remain the case for quite some time.
And the U.S. would like something to come out of this with regards to Ukraine. Do you think that's even likely?
It may not happen at this summit in particular because this is a high-level representation, but we do know that there are negotiations behind the scenes that have been happening, as I mentioned, particularly when it comes to grain. Energy has been a really important topic, but that seems to be going in a more tense direction between Russia and the Europeans, with the U.S. trying to help out in that sense. So all of these things are in play, but these are not things that are going to necessarily be settled within the next couple of days. Eugene,
one final question before I let you get away. What about the delicate dance underway for the host country? I mean, the U.S. obviously wants to isolate Russia. Lavrov's there. Blinken, as I said, will not meet with him. Later this year, during the G20 summit, Russian President Vladimir Putin is invited. Despite a great deal of U.S. displeasure. As a compromise, they've got the Ukrainian President Zelensky also invited. What do you make of all of this?
Well, I think this is an important format, the G20 is, because it kind of breaks beyond that, Russia versus the West paradigm, and it includes countries like China, like India, and even Indonesia, which are important players that don't quite fit into either camp. So in that sense, the more of those discussions there can be, I think the more productive it can possibly go into the future.
All right. Thanks so much for your observations and analysis. Certainly appreciate it.
Thanks.